Hi, everyone. As the pilot training industry is going through some challenging times, we at Aviation Fly are doing an interview series with the leadership of pilot training organizations around the world to learn more about their organizations, how they're dealing with the current situation, and what their future outlook is. All the interviews are being posted on LinkedIn, and you can find other interviews on my profile if you click on activity and posts. Today, I have the pleasure to speak with Attie Niemann, owner and CEO of 43 Air School, which has the largest flight school in all of Africa and another flight school base in Portugal. Through these bases, they're training both international and domestic students and are very much specifically focused on providing airline training programs with, at the moment, even training students from the largest Indian airline, Indigo, for which they have a cadetship program. 43 Air School has a fleet of over 60 aircraft, flying over 56,000 flight hours per year, which is the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. And they're also quite unique in terms of that they're the only school in Africa which is offering the complete integrated ATPL training, which includes type rating for Airbus A320 and Boeing 737. In addition to all of this pilot training, the group also offers aircraft engineering training and air traffic control training. Hi, Attie. Thank you for sharing your
Hello.
insights. Please tell us
Thanks,
more about
Max.
your
Nice speaking to
organization.
you as always. Nice speaking to you as always.
So please tell us a bit more about 43 Air School, how long you've been operating, your current locations, your fleet size, and any recent announcement or any growth initiatives that you've done over the past year.
Okay, thank you. Basically, we 43. The name comes from a lot of history. The base where we are located, the airfield, which we own the property, was a training base in the Second World War, developed by the RAF, Royal Air Force, and the South African Air Force, by the way, which is the second oldest air force in the world. And it was a training base for pilots, navigators, and observers during the Second World War. And then after the war, the base really became derelict, and it was bought in 1988 by a private individual, Jim Davis, who was quite a legend in South African training in those days. And in 2002, I was part of the National Airways Corporation Group, and we bought 43 Air School really as a venture into training, which was one of my portfolios at the time. And we were quite big in operations worldwide at that stage. But flying training has always been very close to my heart, and it was a real passion. But I also saw a business case in acquiring the school, which was doing about 1,200 hours at that stage, with some of the best airspace, some of the best weather, and some of the best facilities in South Africa. And the dream of taking the school to where it is today became a reality over a lot of sweat and hard work over 20 years. The school has been in existence for 31 years. Last year was our 30-year anniversary since we became a privately owned school in 1988. And today we're one of the premier training organizations in the world, one of the largest. But I'm not a believer in bigger is best. I'd rather go for best is best. So our quality, our programs are world leading. We went digital with all our offerings 7 years ago when everybody was still dreaming about doing it. And we've invested very heavily in technology and people. Also, our digital footprint in terms of our marketing programs and so on speak volumes. But we have a very large presence, one of the largest presences in the digital space in terms of our marketing of most flight schools. And we are able to attract students from all over the world. We've got a lot of students from Europe. 75% of our students are not from South Africa. But in Africa, we are the largest. In the Southern Hemisphere, we are definitely one of the largest privately owned, if not. And we cover the full spectrum, although the business has really been focused around airline training to produce a professional thinking airline pilot. Low hours, yes, but well-trained and well-equipped to walk into the right seat of any airliner in the world. And we have about 25 airlines who train with us, some not large, but some huge, like Indigo and Vietnam Airlines and so on, one of our bigger customers. But also private individuals. I have many engineers, guys who have done degrees in the directions of aviation, but never fulfilled their dreams of flying, who start flying at 30, 35, they do their homework, they come to South Africa, enjoy the weather. We're very fortunate. We in a area where we've got nearly 7,000 square kilometers of general aviation airspace right around us, with good airline facilities, ILSs at international airports within flying range of us. So we are able to do in excess of 250 hours per day of flying, which is unique.
Okay.
And we have a maintenance organization which is quite large. I've got about 80 people in the maintenance organization, but we also train engineers in the aviation field in all the specialities, from airframe, engine, and avionics instruments. We have all of the facilities. We're completely self-sufficient in what we do. There's not a single part out of 43 that goes on any aircraft that we need to send away for maintenance. We do it all ourselves. And then, of course, because of our airspace being so busy, the second, sometimes the third to second largest amount of operations or flying happens at this little airfield down in between Cape Town and Durban at Port Alfred. And we do about upwards of 6,000 to 8,000 movements a month on this airfield. And out of that grew the need for air traffic controllers, AFIS controllers, flight information service we offer. So we also have simulators and do training for airfield information service providers, like other flight schools who also need them. So we would do that training. And then, of course, on the airline side, we also do type ratings. We do the MPS or the APS MCC, the latest standards. Upset prevention recovery training into the programs, and then also all the latest airline modules for some of the airlines around us. So a lot of the smaller airlines would use us for certain modules. Okay. And then up in Johannesburg, I've got an advanced training school where we provide services for general aviation.
Fantastic.
In a range of commercial and business aircraft, so Gulfstream, 1900 King and 1900 type ratings, those kind of things. In a nutshell, that's us. And your last question was about our latest ventures.
Yes.
And two that comes to mind straight off is we partnered in Portugal. We got our first operation in Europe. We will launch there as 43 Europe in the year to come ahead. Of course, with the latest interruptions, there might be some delays. And then very excitingly, we partnered with Insight in India. And out of that, doing the Indigo training, we will open a flight school in India in months to come. Against all the good advice and the challenges that India has, we believe we've got the right partners there. But we also ventured into the Pipistrel product range for training, which we're busy evaluating right now. And the announcement was very recently about the Vector, the brand new electric type certified EASA aircraft, which is imminent out of Pipistrel. Yeah. We already have one here. We have the simulators here and the aircraft are flying. And we are very, very excited about the possibilities that will bring into flight training for us into the future.
Yeah, I've been following.
It's a mouthful, but that's it. Yeah.
I've been following 43 for a while, and it's been really amazing to see the growth and also the number of things that 43 is doing all at the moment. Based on your kind of current operations now, specifically looking at COVID, what have you seen so far? How has it affected your operations? Has it affected your enrollments? Has it affected the demand for pilot training that you see through your digital infrastructure? And are there any specific policies that you've implemented to kind of mitigate some of these challenges?
Absolutely. So COVID is something that that came onto most of us, I would believe, faster than we ever thought. Yeah. And we have always placed the safety of our employees and our students first. With the national lockdown in South Africa that was announced recently, we've been in lockdown now, we're on day 5, going on to day 6. It affected us. We had to shut down operations on the flying side. I have over 180 international students on my campus. We offered everybody that wanted to go home that they could go, but there wasn't enough time for all of them to go home. But we haven't had a single cancellation, not domestically or internationally yet. I'm not saying there won't be other economic impacts later on, but all our students are on campus. We want to start flying in 2 weeks' time if we are allowed by authorities. We are ready to do all the measures necessary for COVID-19, including some additional measures that we've worked out in the interim will work. But we do not underestimate the economic challenges and the days ahead. We will look at that in detail, and I think it plays right into our whole drive of lowering the costs by investing in new technology, going online. All our students are in class today online and have modules to do, and the same for our airline guys. The practical flying is the big area where we suffered for operations, but I am 100% convinced that that will come back and we'll be back in the air sooner than later.
Yeah.
South Africa has been quite blessed so far in that we quite removed from the markets, but you know, the extent of COVID, I think for all of us will only be known in 3 months' time.
Yeah.
But that there's going to be economic impact for sure. We'll just have to be smarter about how we do things and work differently, but life goes on. And our motto is the only way that COVID can beat us is either it's got to kill us or it's going to beat us economically. And we can't allow either. And we will fight it like we fight a war. And that's our motto. And it's worked well for us so far. And I think knowledge is everything. Knowledge is everything. If we have all the knowledge, we can deal with it. And that's where I think if we have the correct information and the correct strategic plan, we will most probably find some opportunities out of this going forward.
Well, and based on my knowledge as well, so you, as you mentioned earlier, you have already implemented this online digital learning infrastructure since quite a few years. So actually, for your organization, there wasn't a major transition where most of the training was then, ground school training was moved online. So I think this is really fantastic to see. So what are then your kind of specific predictions in terms of the future outlook for your organization, for the industry? You've already mentioned that you think COVID has now caused the flight training industry to kind of accelerate its online adoption tremendously. So it would be great to kind of hear, or if you could share your predictions and insights of where you see the trends coming out of COVID-19.
Look, I believe that travel will always be with us. I don't think travel will ever fade away, and one has to look at how can you grow travel worldwide. And we looked at that a few years ago strategically to say we're very dependent on airline business. And the private flying is going to become smaller in time to come at the current cost structure. And that's why Pipistrel was such a great jump for us to move off Piper and invest into Pipistrel. Because when I looked at the Pipistrel model and how they see the future, it's not just electric and more affordable flying. They see the future in the eVTOL fraternity, where I believe they have got a unique product coming up, which will open up a whole new training market. And I think, the old saying of, don't have all your eggs in one basket is something we identified a while ago. Airline business comes and goes. It's always been cyclic. The cycle has just been advanced much quicker on us. The recovery might be slower than we think. It might be quicker than we think. I think I would like to stay away from guessing and predicting. I'm not a prophet. I like dealing with realities, and the realities right now is we have to find other business and to make up for what we've done, or we've got to downsize our business temporarily. In the aviation sector, it's difficult because you invest in highly skilled people, but through the attrition of people going through our business, moving on to airlines or moving back from the airlines, I also see opportunity where we will be able to attract maybe a far more experienced type of instructor, senior instructors back into the industry, which has been a challenge for us in the past 10 years or so. So I think the message are to, you know, the guys coming out of the airline sector that might not have a job for a year or 2 or 3 years, come back to training, because this is where you guys are loved, needed, and wanted. And you know, so this is how these cycles work, and it's how we identify and work with them that's going to determine whether we survive
I think
successfully.
I think that is one of the most fantastic messages that I've heard yet. You know, this call to everyone affected by the airlines. You know, all the experienced pilots and instructors. You know, the flight industry would really love to welcome them again. On that subject, are there any stakeholders which you and 43 Air School would like to connect for your current operations and for your future plans?
Absolutely. I mean, we have recently moved into Europe, and we're still finding our feet there, of course, with a disruption that currently is in the market because of COVID-19. We will reassess the situation there, but we had plans to go into North America, and that was the next partner or invest into Northern America at this stage, because we see a lot of synergy and partnership there. You know, most of the products we use in terms of technology are much the same and can be easily transferable between the training program theirs and ours. And knowing the FAA program and how it works, you know, we see some great opportunities, because America has always been very close to the ICAO sector in a sense of cooperation, and I think it's time that we look at it, because we have cost advantages like we've proven in our European model that could be a game changer for those guys who sometimes have cost issues that they need to look at.
Based on my understanding, talking about specific costs, I think, at least this is my opinion, you know, South Africa is one of the global popular hotspot destinations for pilot training with some unique advantages. And I think this position is only going to grow in the coming years as airlines around the world are also looking at you know, what you said earlier in the interview about lowering the cost of training and making it easier for a wider section of the population to even consider becoming a pilot. And I know South Africa is one of the leading spots when it comes to getting top quality pilot training at a more affordable price point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think, you know, that I think the provider must be that you know, to deliver quality training at an affordable or a reduced price must have one proviso, that our quality must be the same or higher than what is delivered to the markets we want to enter. And I think we are unique in being able to offer that.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your insights today, Attie. And I know that 43 is going to come out of this even stronger and continue to grow tremendously over the coming year around the world. And I very much look forward to that.
Thank you. And I will be following you as well. And I hope, wish you guys the best. I hope that you guys, like us, the aviation fraternity is a small family. And, you know, we always try and work together and help each other where we can. In this time, especially, I think it's more appropriate too. Thank you.
Thank you.